Welcome back, fellow horology enthusiasts, to the deep dive. Today, we're going to look at a brand that really just keeps pushing things forward with, incredible quality and some really groundbreaking ideas, Grand Seiko. And specifically, we're diving into their brand new and, well, pretty eye-catching Grand Seiko Sunrise Tentagraph Limited Edition. That's the SLGC006. This feels like more than just a nice watch, doesn't it? It seems like a real signal about their direction. Yeah, so for this deep dive, we've got a really detailed first look article that breaks down pretty much every aspect of this luxury piece. But importantly, we also dug into the comment section, the enthusiast community. So we got a good sense of how people are really reacting. And our mission, as always, is to kind of cut through it all, find the surprising bits, look at the different opinions, and pull out the key info so you walk away really understanding what the SLGC006 is all about. Let's just jump right in. Thinking about Grand Seiko, over 65 years of history, this reputation for amazing quality, you'd probably think they have this long, long line of mechanical chronographs. But that's actually where the story gets, well, pretty interesting.
It really is fascinating, isn't it? Because the Tentagraph, the first one, the SLGC001 from 2023, that was actually Grand Seiko's very first purely mechanical chronograph ever.
Wow, really?
Yeah, before that, for decades, all their chronographs used their, super innovative spring drive system. Calibres like the 9R86, 9R96.
Yeah.
So a purely mechanical chrono is, it's a very recent thing for them, but definitely deliberate. And this new one, this Sunrise Tentagraph SLGC006, we're looking at, it's an evolution. It builds right on that SLGC001 and the ice blue SLGC007, all part of their Evolution 9 platform. The really crucial thing here, I think, is that it's not just them adding another movement type. It feels like a strategic play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Positioning themselves directly against, the Swiss giants in the mechanical chronograph space.
Okay.
Shows they want to compete everywhere in high-end watchmaking, not just lean on that unique spring drive advantage.
That's a really critical point, wouldn't you say? I mean, does just having a mechanical chronograph now suddenly put them on equal footing with brands that have been doing it for like a century? Yeah. Or does it maybe invite a different kind of comparison?
It definitely invites comparison, maybe even tougher scrutiny. But, it also gives them a bit of freedom. They're not tied to decades of their own chrono history in this specific category. They can kind of write their own rules here.
True. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and look at the aesthetics, the look and feel. Sunrise Tentagraph, that name alone kind of paints a picture, doesn't it?
It does. And honestly, it mostly delivers on that promise.
Yeah.
It's a watch with serious presence, both in the materials and the design choices. It's made from their high-intensity titanium, which is basically grade 5 titanium. So it's light, strong, makes them more wearable maybe, despite the size.
Okay.
But it's those little touches of 18-karat rose gold that really lift it. You see it on the crown, the pushers, and there's this new frame around the ceramic bezel insert that's also gold.
Oh, interesting.
Even the clasp on the bracelet, the three-fold clasp, it has this little 18K rose gold GS medallion. Subtle, but definitely there.
And the dial, that sounds like the real showstopper. The article says it's a new, more striking Mount Iwate pattern, deeper, richer texture, and this light copper pink color. Sounds amazing, but maybe hard to photograph.
Exactly. It's one of those colors you probably need to see in person. And it's paired with these contrasting subdials, sort of a burgundy brown for the chrono counters, and then a slightly darker copper pink for the running seconds. And then all the hands and the markers are rose gold plated, filled with Lumibrite. So it's a really complex mix of colors and textures going on. And if you connect that back to the bigger idea, that mix of the darker titanium, the warmth from the rose gold, and that really unique dial color, it's clearly meant to evoke a sunrise over Mount Iwate.
Right, that connection to nature they always have.
Exactly. It's a signature thing for them, drawing inspiration from around their studio. But here, it feels like they're blending that natural, almost poetic idea with a more sort of industrial robustness.
Yeah.
That rose gold against titanium gives it a warmth, like those early morning colors.
So looking at that mix, the dark titanium, the warm gold accents, do you think it successfully finds that sweet spot between being a luxury watch and a tough sports watch?
Yeah.
Or is it maybe creating a more specific, perhaps more polarizing look for Grand Seiko? Because, we saw comments where people were like, I don't like bits and pieces of different metals.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it touches on something fundamental in luxury design, doesn't it? Grand Seiko's clearly going for something unique here, sophisticated. That mix can add visual interest, a sense of preciousness for some people. But like you said, there's definitely a group of collectors who prefer let's say, material purity.
Yeah.
If it's gold, they want all gold, or at least bigger chunks of it.
Right, more consistent.
Exactly. So maybe it's not for everyone, but it's definitely a bold statement. Very Grand Seiko in its own way.
Okay. Moving past the looks, which are clearly striking,
Yeah.
the real heart of a Grand Seiko is always the movement inside, right? That's where the deep engineering really happens. Let's talk about the engine room.
Absolutely. So the SLGC006 uses the Calibre 9C5 Tentagraph movement.
Yeah.
It's the same powerhouse that was in the earlier models. Now, technically, it's a modular chronograph. That means the chrono part is built as a separate module on top of their really excellent Calibre 9SA5 base movement.
Ah, okay. Modular.
Yeah. And while that's efficient, and pretty common actually, it is sometimes debated by watch purists.
Yeah.
Some prefer fully integrated chrono movements, arguing they're more elegant or allow for thinner watches. But anyway, this one beats at a high frequency 5 hertz, or 36,000 vibrations per hour, key for accuracy. And it gets a really solid 72-hour power reserve. That's thanks mainly to its double barrel setup.
3 days, nice.
Yeah. And crucially, it has Grand Seiko's advanced stuff. The dual impulse escapement, which is all about efficient energy transfer to the valence wheel, and a free sprung balance, which is great for stability and shock resistance. Both of those are designed for top-notch precision and stability. They quote, a mean daily rate of +5 to naxo 3 seconds. And what's really impressive, they say it maintains that accuracy even when the chronograph is running.
That's a big deal.
It is, and it uses the classic, highly regarded column wheel and vertical clutch system for the chronograph. So smooth engagement, no stutter.
Okay, so technically it sounds like a beast, but let's talk wearability. The specs are 43.2 millimeter diameter, 15.3 millimeter thick, and lug-to-lug is 51.5 millimeters. Now, on paper, that sounds pretty big. The Evolution 9 cases are known for being comfortable, but how much can design really fight against those numbers, especially for someone with a smaller wrist or maybe someone used to slimmer chronos?
That's a really fair question.
Sure.
The article does say it feels nicer on the wrist, talks about a lower center of gravity, how it kind of hugs the wrist, and it has 100 meters water resistance, so it's definitely built tough.
Right.
But yeah, you can't ignore 15.3 millimeter thickness. That's substantial. Grand Seiko cases with that Zaratsu polishing and all the facets often do wear a bit smaller visually because of how light plays on them.
Breaks up the bulk a bit.
Exactly. But there's a limit, right? Physics is physics. So if you have a smaller wrist or just prefer thin watches, this is still going to feel like a significant piece on the wrist, no matter how clever the ergonomics are.
So it's this balance then. High-tech mechanics, thoughtful design for comfort, but yeah, the size is still going to be a talking point for a lot of people.
Precisely. It shows her thinking about wearability, but also making choices that lead to a larger watch. And comfort is so subjective anyway.
Okay, so with all this amazing detail, the engineering, the unique look, what does it actually mean for someone thinking about buying this?
Yeah.
The collector, maybe?
Well, first off, it's really exclusive. This is a limited edition, just 300 pieces for the entire world. And it's scheduled for release in October 2025.
Oh, wow, still a ways off.
Yeah. And the price is EUR 23,000.
Okay. 23,000 euros.
Yeah. So that combination, very limited numbers, a year out, and that significant price tag, it immediately raises questions, right? How does this position the watch in the, very crowded, very competitive luxury market?
Definitely.
It's a statement piece, no doubt, and a serious investment. And like you mentioned earlier, seeing commenters immediately bring up things like gray market Daytonas. That tells you exactly what league people are comparing it to.
Which leads us perfectly into that whole discourse, the reader comments. It's always fascinating, sometimes a bit wild, to see what the enthusiast community thinks. And again, just want to be clear, we're just relaying these opinions from our sources, not saying we agree or disagree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there was a definite pattern, especially around size and price. A lot of comments basically saying, too big, too thick. That came up a lot. And often tied directly to the price. Like one person, Phil, who said for 23K euros, they'd just get a gray market Daytona. That's a benchmark comparison right there.
And it wasn't just size and price, right? Some people criticized the finishing or perceived lack of it. Like RB called the hands unrefined, butch-looking.
Yeah.
Strong words.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And that same commenter felt it fails on literally all levels compared to Omega, Rolex, Breitling, claiming they offer better specs, thinner profiles, and dedicated integrated movements instead of modular. That modular point definitely struck a nerve with some.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme for chronograph purists.
It really is. These kinds of critiques, especially about modularity, show how strong those traditional expectations are in the watch world. Even for Grand Seiko, known for innovation, when they use a modular approach, it bumps up against those purist ideals about integrated movements being somehow superior or thinner.
Hmm.
It shows that movement architecture isn't just engineering, it's also about like philosophy for some collectors.
And then there was the accuracy debate. Jeff's comment was interesting. He was kind of underwhelmed by the +5 to -3 seconds per day,
Right.
comparing it to his, $350 Casio Oceanus, which he says is accurate to less than a second a day because it syncs with radio signals, keeping it basically spot on with the atomic clock.
Yeah, that's the classic quartz versus mechanical accuracy argument, isn't it?
Totally. It brings up that practical point. Why pay thousands when you can get near-perfect timekeeping for hundreds?
Exactly. And Jeff's comment really highlights that difference. You have the absolute, almost perfect practical accuracy of a radio-controlled quartz watch versus the incredible but fundamentally different achievement of getting a purely mechanical movement like the Tentagraph to run within a few seconds a day.
Right, it's apples and oranges, really.
Pretty much. For
Yeah.
mechanical fans, the value isn't just the timekeeping number, it's the craft, the tiny parts working together,
Yeah.
the challenge of achieving that precision mechanically. Just a different appreciation, you know?
Absolutely. But okay, it wasn't all negative, right? Some people loved it.
Oh, definitely not all negative. We saw positive comments, too, like GK called it a Japanese beauty with a strong, strong presence. Loved the design, trusted the tip-top Grand Seiko quality, praised the excellent movement.
Okay, so real enthusiasm there.
Yeah. And then Bennett had that really unique kind of pragmatic take,
Yeah.
suggesting maybe it's a good thing it's not instantly recognizable like some other brands. At least no one will mug you on the street and rob you for it.
Huh. Well, that's one way to look at it. But it does speak to that idea of Grand Seiko being maybe less flashy, more if you know, you know.
Exactly. Which can be appealing to some, maybe less so to others. It's that double-edged sword of brand recognition.
So pulling all these different views together, it's fascinating how the critiques, especially about size or the modular movement, really show these deep-rooted, almost rigid expectations in the watch world. Even for a brand like Grand Seiko, that's all about doing things differently.
Yeah, it really highlights that friction, doesn't it? When Grand Seiko's unique mix of innovation, design, and their whole philosophy meets those traditional purist ideals head-on.
So thinking about all this, the specs, the looks, the praise, the criticism, what factors do you think really matter most when someone considers a watch at this level? Is it the raw specs, how it stacks up against competitors on paper? Or is it more about that unique artistic vision, that Grand Seiko-ness that justifies its place?
Gosh, it's such a complex mix, isn't it? Because what one person sees as a major drawback, like the size or the modular movement or the two-tone metals, someone else might see as a deliberate choice, part of its character. Or even, like Bennett said, a weird kind of benefit.
Right.
This watch really forces you to think about what luxury even means or perfection in watches today. It's not a simple answer.
Okay, so we've journeyed through quite a bit here. The intricate details, the serious engineering, and those really passionate, sometimes contradictory reactions surrounding the Grand Seiko Sunrise Tentagraph Limited Edition SLGC006.
Yeah, this deep dive definitely shows us a watch that's, well, it's a clear statement about Grand Seiko doubling down on mechanical chronographs. It offers this really unique blend of high-tech movement, unusual materials, and that striking look inspired by Japanese nature. And it's clearly a watch that sparks strong feelings, both positive and negative, which honestly, in high-end watches, is often a sign that a brand is actually doing something interesting, something that challenges people's expectations, not just playing it safe.
That's a great point. So for you, as we wrap this up, maybe here's something to think about. In a world where, yeah, a $350 quartz watch can give you atomic clock accuracy, what do you truly value in a mechanical watch that costs, EUR 23,000? Is it the story behind it, the ambition, the incredible microengineering inside, the artistry inspired by a sunrise, that mix of materials? Or maybe it's even that tension, that friction between tradition and innovation that makes it compelling and justifies its place on your wrist. Something to mull over, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep with us into the fascinating world around us.